Good morning to all. Thank you very much for joining us today for the first meeting in 2026 of the EURADA Working Group on Digitalisation. For those who don't know me already, I am Camille Herlot, Junior Policy and Project Officer at EURADA, in charge of this working group. And before starting, I am kindly asking you to ensure that microphones are switched off to ensure noise, to avoid noise interference. But you are encouraged to ask your questions during the Q&A moments by raising your hand or in the chat. Finally, we are letting you know that this meeting is being recorded, so we invite you to turn off your cameras if you don't want to appear in the recording. So this working group meeting will be guided by the topic of artificial intelligence in public administration, advantages, opportunities, and challenges. Today, we will explore how regional development agencies can leverage AI to modernize public services, manage risk, and maximize benefits. We will discuss best practices, identify policy gaps, and consider how to build resilient systems that align with Europe's digital sovereignty and ethical standards. So as you see on the screen, the structure will be the following. So opening remarks by our EURADA director, Francesco Morica, and myself. A first session highlighting two best case studies from EURADA members, with a first presentation by Jonathan Slow from Scottish Enterprise, and a second presentation by Maria Mendoza from ADRAL. This session will be followed by a Q&A. Then we will have a second session with experts where Annika Genso will take us through AI in Interreg project work, from proposal writing to program management. Then Christian Soblin will present his work on strategic and methodological approach from South Moravia in Czech Republic. And Adam Bilek will present the feedback from regional perspective. This session will also be followed by a Q&A. So I will leave the word to Francesco Morica, our director, for a short welcoming.
Yes, thank you very much, Camille. I will say a very few words. First of all, welcome everyone. This is actually the second meeting of the Digitalisation Working Group devoted to AI. We already held another meeting in 2025, focusing on how regional development agencies can help and support their local entrepreneurial ecosystem in the uptake of AI technology. Today we are focusing on we're taking a complementary perspective by focusing on how the opportunities of AI can be harnessed by public organizations to support regional development. Of course, there is no doubt that the AI technology is now becoming more and more pervasive in our both professional and personal lives. We are clearly now in the middle of a new big technological wave, the sixth one, according to many economists. And of course, the pros and cons of the AI are being, as you know very well, heavily debated both in policymakers' circles as well as in the scholarly communities. Of course, there are both pessimistic and optimistic views about the impact of AI. On the side of pessimistic views, of course, there are widespread concerns, right, about the implications in terms of labor, the risk of technological a massive technological unemployment, right? To cite Keynes, is always is an evergreen. Is always debated whenever a new big technology storms into the stage of history. What we would like, and of course, on the other hand, there are also optimistic views pointing to the important productivity gains that could arise from the uptake and from the diffusion of AI technologies. What I would like to say here, I mean, is that regardless of the positive or negative implications, it is important to highlight that a technology is not, in many cases, bad or good per se, but much depends, as it was shown also by the works of many economists, in particular the Nobel Prize winners Simon Johnson and Darren Acemoglu. It really much depends on how institutions, policymakers, and businesses make use of this technology. And hence the importance of debating how the public administration can indeed leverage, use this technology for indeed supporting positive processes and which would eventually result in indeed and have economic benefits both in terms of growth and employment. So I'm very keen to listen to the presentations that will be delivered today by our distinguished speakers, and I will now leave the floor to Camille, who will, I believe, also introduce the two sessions with some remarks in order to set the scene for the following interventions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francesco. I will just complete a bit the opening remarks, saying that we are now witnessing a transformative moment for Europe. AI is not just reshaping economies and societies, it is redefining how public administrations operate and deliver services to citizens. So for regional development agencies, AI presents a unique perspective to drive innovation, enhance efficiency, and address the diverse needs of our territories. The European Committee of Regions recently highlighted that 27% of cities and regions are already integrating AI into their public administration. So this adoption is not just about technology, it's about building internal capacities, fostering political leadership, and ensuring also ethical governance. So already the topic of today is very central. Some good practices are already integrating AI in the public administration, as we're going to see in this working group. But also thanks to initiatives like the ethical leaflet in the city of Amsterdam, or the Turin Ethical Board, that both show how cities can proactively address these issues, ensuring that AI serves the public interest and also protects citizens. So let's make this session interactive and action-oriented. Thank you, and we look forward to this discussion. I will now leave the floor to Jonathan Slow for this first session on best case studies from EURADA members. Jonathan, you can go.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen, hopefully. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to give you an example today how we've built an agent to help some of the work that we've been doing in terms of Scottish enterprise, particularly linking into understanding how we actually prioritize research and use the benefits of all the different research projects and evaluation projects that we have undertaken over a long period of time. So essentially, I'm pretty sure that everyone here is aware of what agents are and how they work. But just as a wee reminder, I think the key thing is about them is that they are very specific. So they are different, but they are linked to bodies like ChatGPT. These are the large language models, but agents are built using a slightly different technology, but they are meant with a specific focus in mind. And that they actually help and build, they can make decisions on their own and actually will execute a wide range of tasks. But I think in terms of what we're doing here, and this is where they become goal orientated, what we've tried to do was to say, as an organization, we have been undertaking research projects since, well, almost forever. And we had access to all of that material, but we never really had a way of being able to go in and deeply explore it particularly well. And so we thought, well, what can we do to help that? And then we started, as the organization went more into using AI, and suddenly realized that actually we could potentially build an agent that will do that, will actually allow it to learn to some extent from the material that we've got, and actually to explore the deeper stories, the deeper messages that are in that data, to see what new and different it can build us. It also allows us, and I'll give an example of this later on, as to how we can do things differently and actually speed up processes and actually get efficiencies and productivity gains from the work that we would ordinarily do as part of our organizational work. So these are the kind of questions we asked. We've got our credible outputs, our research evaluation exercises, the economic analysis that we do. And they were all stuck all over SharePoint and all over our internal drives and in a wide variety of places. And we thought, well, yeah, how can we get more from them? Now, I use Copilot here because Copilot is the organizational's model of choice that it's taken, rather than that. I personally would prefer Claude or ChatGPT, but the organization has chosen Copilot. So we're using Copilot and say, well, how can we get the most from the data that we've got? Not only for us to allow to do our research projects better, to understand what already exists, but also to help in the future other colleagues across the organization, if they are looking to do some kind of research or background material for board papers or appraisal documents, to actually have somewhere they can go to assess what's been done before, which then saves a lot of the questions of, oh, can you tell me something about whatever that thing is? And we thought, well, let's start off with where we are now, but could we take it somewhere else? Could it go further? And actually, could we start to use it to understand some of the deeper linkages between the data that we've got? Could we use it to help shape the kinds of analyses that we do and access externally? And that can we make sure that we have got the best use we can, the most efficient use of the increasingly limited resources that we have got? Now, to be very, very clear here, we've gone down this route in no way to we're using it to fill the gaps that we've got in our staffing and financial resources that we are not able to fill through other mechanisms. So this is where we are. That's what we thought. Well, what can we do? And so we thought, well, and it always helps to have a name for these things. So we created our agent, which we've called Keith, the Complete Encyclopedia of Insights to Help. And so what we did was we basically got all of the evidence together. We put it in all from the different sources, the different places across the organization's IT. We pulled all of those pieces together. We made sure that everything was sourced. and that we structured things in a way that will maximize the speed of use, but also to make sure that we have got the quality of the analysis that we had. Allows us to signpost where we needed to. Depending on how you use the prompts within it, you can go for very short briefings and summaries, but you can actually use it to provide what I call a draft zero of a more complex paper, should that be needed. And also within the structure that we've got within Copilot, there are two other agents that already exist that Microsoft have pulled. One's called Researcher and one's called Analyst. The Analyst one is more linked into using spreadsheets and statistical analysis. But what we've actually done here complements those, and the examples will give you, we'll set that out in a bit more detail. It's robust. We've set the floor high because we are only using our internal data material, products, research reports, evaluation reports. It's comprehensive across the range of activities that we do as an organization. It is limited, yes, but it's limited to the things that we do, so it's highly relevant for what we do. It's very quick, remarkably quick, in fact. We found it incredibly helpful because it will give us, and because everything is sourced, you can then go back and double check the original source to understand and see what we've got. We're regularly updating it, and that I think is important. It's always learning. Now, always with things with AI systems, you have to be careful about the use of the word learning, but it is learning. We are adding to it more all the time. And I think the one thing I like about it is it's stubborn. It will not. You can't just change it just by force of will, and it has been incredibly helpful to us so far within the team. So I thought I'd give you an example of how we used it. This chart here, the first box, the one marked colleague insights and the one marked staff insights, those are things that we always have to do as part of our internal research program every year. But the middle bit, we've always had to do in a very perhaps cumbersome kind of way, where we as a team have had to go through, review all the proposals, scale them, look at them against what we already do, what we've already got, themes, the specific projects. So this year we thought, well, let's try and use the agent to do this for us. And to be honest, it's simplified and speeded the process up no end. I think the important thing is to say is that the bit in the middle, so we used Keith first. So once we got the responses together, we got the 77 research proposals. We then put them through the agent to help see what have we already got, what are the key questions that are coming out against the research that we've already got and the organizational principles. We then took that output, then we put through the wider Microsoft Researcher agent, which then went into wider documents across the organization. So whether it be governance, whether it be external board papers, all of those kinds of things, the strategic documents of other parts of the organization to assess, to refine, if you like, what we'd already got. And that, going through that process, we ended up with identifying a whole series of gaps in the research, and we ended up with about 20. We then shared those 20 with staff across the whole organization, and we then used that to prioritize within that list. So we went through that process, which was much quicker than it would have been otherwise. And I know I'm conscious of very short of time, but that gives you an idea and how it's worked, and it has been incredibly helpful to us, and it's been very, very much quicker than the process would have been normally. And also, we are happy and content that we've got the high quality research because it's building on research that we had already done. So I will stop there, and I'm happy to pick up any questions either now or later.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for your presentation. And I invite everyone to keep the questions for after the next presentation. We will have a Q&A moment. Now I leave the floor to Maria Mendoza from ADRAL.
Sorry, muted. Hello, everybody. So I think I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see if this works out. I'm the coordinator of the planning and control department of ADRAL. Let's see if I can. Okay, now, so ADRAL, as most of you must know, we are in the Alentejo region of Portugal. And let's see if I can. I'm having to share. I'm sharing two different screens, so it's going to be a little delay between them. So the Alentejo region. So as you can see, Alentejo region is a third of Portugal. It's a lot of the territory, but we only have 1% of the people that live here, of the population. So as you can see, it's a big area and not so many people there living there, but ADRAL works through all these regions. So as you can see here in green, I don't know if you can see it in green, this is our area. This is where ADRAL develops its action, its mission. It's all through the Alentejo region. So Alentejo region has 4 different sub-regions, as we can call it. One of them is Alentejo Litoral, the other one Alentejo Central, Alto Alentejo and Baixo Alentejo. Why? Because if it's a big area and we have 4 different sub-regions that have 4 different characteristics, let's say, whether it's social or economic. So we are acting all over these 4 sub-regions with different challenges also. So what is ADRAL? We are a leading regional development agency. We are the one that still survives in Portugal, and we have more than 26 years of experience through all the Alentejo region. So we have also an active presence in Brussels. As you know, we are members of EURADA, and we are also, and very important, the coordinators of Alentejo Smart Specialization Strategy platforms. So what can that do for us? It's bridging up the gap between European policy and regional action. So all of these frames our action. Well, so what's happening with EI and what's the challenge for us? So as a regional development agency, our core mission...
I'm very sorry to cut you, but I think the
just
slide is not the...
Sorry, if I do that again, please let me know, because as I'm telling you, I'm working with 2 different monitors.
No problem.
So this was I telling you before, sorry for that. And right now, yes, the context and the vision. So as a regional development agency, as I was saying, our core mission is strategic planning, engaging with stakeholders to drive Alentejo forward. So, and even though we face a common reality, we are having technical staff, highly qualified technical staff, that are spending too many time in a significant amount of repetitive and administrative tasks. So we having highly qualified resources that are doing most of the work through administrative tasks. So that led us to our vision. So we don't see, and there it's very important for us. We don't see intelligence as, let me see if I'm just moving through the right. Yeah, sorry. So that led us to our vision. We don't see IA as a tool to replace people. No, we don't. What we are trying to do is to see it as a strategic lever to unlock the lost capacity. So if we can be able to automate routine, we are empowering our team to invest their time into regional development. So our main vision is, okay, let's pick up these high qualified resources that are doing almost desk work, and let's try to make their time a little bit more productive, right? And try to invest their time into the regional development. So to achieve this, what we are doing? Well, we are adopting an internal first strategy, because if we do qualify our resources to use AI, we are better capacitated to do it through all the regions. So why are we doing that? Because we really realized that before we could guide our region ecosystem, we need to guide our workers. So that's our strategy. That was our leading strategy. So now I think you are. So how did we do that? How are we starting to do that? Well, first of all, we had a 20-hour intensive program. So we designed a specific intensive program for ADRAL, for our technical staff, in areas like prompting engineer and responsible use of AI, workflow automation. So how did that work? Well, easy. We translate our vision into reality. Let's do a specific, highly tailored 20-hour program so we can go straight to our points. We didn't want a theoretical overview. We wanted a practical mastery. So what we do? Okay, let's start working on prompt engineering, because one of the bad uses of AI is obviously not to do it in the right way. So we have to work it efficiently through prompt engineer. And that's what we try to do in the first place. In the second place, and for us, it's absolutely critical for public administration that we train our staff in the responsible AI use. If they learn how to spot hallucinations, to mitigate biases, and to ensure data security, that's halfway there to the correct use of artificial intelligence. So how did we do it? Okay, let's work with the true game changer. Let's workflow automation. Let's introduce no-code platforms like Zapier. Let's enable our staff to use correct to different AI models in our daily applications like email and Google Sheets. Let's start with the beginning. We have to work it all the way through the beginning. So let's lead this to how we use it. Let's use it with practical departmental use cases. So how do we use it? Theory is great. Yes, it is, but we want it immediately and practical results. So during the training laboratories, what we do was to group our staff by department and ask them, okay, let's see, what's your biggest daily headache? Let's try to work on your biggest problem and then build an automated workflow to solve them. That's how we try to do it. So, for example, in my own department, the planning and control department, we deal with massive regional reports. We have to work a lot in massive regional reports. So what we do, we built an automation where at the time a new report is uploaded, Gemini reads it, summarizes it, and points out and posts them straight to our team through a Slack channel. So it goes there, it looks at there, gives us a view, let's say it, and then it goes straightly to our departments. Our finance department automated the boring, let's say, data inputs from the invoices directly into Google Sheets, for example. And our external relations team now uses AI to instantly draft, customize initial reports to foreign investors. So, as you can see it, these are the the biggest cases, let's see where we are working on these applications, and they are working. So what did we gain from this? So the numbers are encouraging. So from our research, we had a 33% of increase in efficiency per hour with the use of artificial intelligence. So this goes to 2.2 hours saved per week for employer. In our agency, so we are about 16 workers. This is a lot, as you can see it. So that means that we have been able to recover more than 5,000 hours of work every single year. So this is the metric that we are trying to go up. And of course, as time goes by, we need to keep working on this, and we are reinvesting the capacity of trying to do this into the Alentejo region so we can be able to use it. So because of this internal training was so successful, we are no longer experimenting. So we try to experiment, and we are currently finalizing an enterprise level contract for Google Gemini with ADRAL. So, okay, we had an experience. It really worked out. So now let's try to make a contract directly with Google Gemini to ensure that we had our data safe and that our stakeholders, the people that work with us, the companies, are also feeling safe to work with us because we are using this tool. So this is fundamental for the agency-wide integration. This is completely fundamental to be secure and to transmit some security to others. So for us, and in order to conclude my presentation, I want to leave you with our biggest takeaway. The true digital transformation is, of course, a human transformation. It's not easy to use these tools. It's not easy to make people use them in a safe way, in the correct way. But because having a license for this kind of tools, it's relatively easily, of course, but to empowering our staff to use it in a more efficiently and responsible way is the key. If we invest in our team first, we are changing not just our internal systems, but we are also, and once again, I didn't change the the slide, sorry. Because if we are investing in our team, we are not just changing our internal systems. We are also building a better, a stronger, and a future-ready regional development agency that can truly lead Alentejo region. So thank you a lot for your time. Looking forward for the discussion. Let's see if I can stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Maria. And thank you also, Jonathan, for the presentations for the first session. And now we have a moment for some questions. So if anyone has any question, you can use the chat or you can unmute yourself to provide your question. Annika, I see that you have raised your hand and let you ask your question.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentations. It's really interesting to see how you are moving forward, because what I see here, and when I compare it with my practical work, then you are so far forward comparing to most of the places. But my question is that AI is very difficult, especially for the people my age, middle age or older, to handle. Let's say this way, how you are both talking about the training of your staff, how the training is organized, and I'm interested in this, that how it is secured that all of the staff is understanding the AI tools that you presented, and all of that staff is using it and is comfortable to using it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annika, for this question. Maybe Jonathan, you can go first, and then Maria, if you want to answer also the question?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's a really interesting question. I mean, for where we started with the agent, we essentially myself and particularly one of my colleagues, Paul, who did a lot of the building of it. We effectively trained ourselves first to how to use it. We then, within the context of that, and working with someone from our data side, we then developed a training course that we used with our team and across our division. We're now rolling that out more widely, so that when the agents actually launched across the whole organization, people will have that experience of using it. But I think one of the things that worked for us was we actually recorded a number of kind of how-to videos, and I think the video training element of it was particularly important for us, because I think it gives people the opportunity almost to see keystrokes, to see how things work in practice, so they can then see, okay, that's how it works.
Thank you.
Well, from our side, and I must confess, Anika, I'm also one of the the people that has more difficult working with this, because it's not easy. We are getting used to work so much in some way, and then coming these new tools integrating in our work. It's not easy. So we also are learning from each other. But these training courses that we are having specifically for us, with the trainer coming here, we are having online sessions, we are having presential sections, is helping us, because we are seeing how they work. Of course, this changes from hour to hour. We know different applications all the time are coming up. It's not easy to keep up with, but we are doing our best, and we are also having a closed circuit for us, and we have almost weekly meetings where we are working, and we are saying in which way we are working with intelligence, with the AI. So we are sharing our experiences. That's one way of keeping things more through heart, I must say.
Thank you.
But it's not easy. I can assure you it's not. And we are just about 15 people.
Thank you very much, Anika, for this very good question. I see that we also have Jean-Jacques Bernardini raising the hand. I give you the floor.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I think that's where I have trouble to hear me. So first, thank you for the two presentations. Very interesting. That we are facing in my own organizations. We are a development agency in Grand Est in France. I have a question about the sovereignty of the data. You use some tools, okay, but how you manage that the informations you have will be kept internally and not share with we don't know everywhere? How do you control the informations? That's the first question. And the second, for the training, and I think training is very important. How do you manage it? Do you have some external companies, consultants that provide you assistance for that? And what is your feedback about this if you use external consultants? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Jacques. So the first question was about sovereignty of data, so how to keep in control the data internally, and the second question on how to manage training, is it internally or externally? Maybe we do it the other way. Maria, you can go first, and Jonathan second.
Yeah. Thank you, Camille. Well, the control of the information is one of our main issues here. And as I said in my presentation, we are working with Google to have a specific use of the platform to us with extra security. And yes, we do have external experts that have their, of course, confidentiality contracts with us and are working with us and are teaching us how to work with it. So yes, we have to go. Of course, we have people inside our organization that are more or less aware and I wouldn't say specialists, but almost of already working with AI. But we have, of course, we had to go to external specialists that are working with us and are helping us developing our tools and the use of our tools. And I think that's quite fundamental for us because it's not just from the knowledging from every day, it's also from someone who knows and works and tries to design tools that can work specifically for us.
Thank you again. Thank you for the question. I think first it's slightly different in terms of the data sovereignty part, because our agent was built using our own research reports and evaluation reports. They are all published or available anyway online, so they're already effectively in the public domain. So getting the data on that is slightly less of an issue. So the control element of that is a little less critical, I think. In terms of the training, we did all our training internally, but that's because we are quite a relatively large organization and we have our own internal IT and AI experts, and I think it ties into also the comment that's in the chat from Javier, that we have because of our size, we are able to have that kind of internal expertise that was essentially backing us up from the technical side or the technological side. And then we were bringing in our specific, if you like, domain expertise on research evaluation, futures, and those kind of areas. So I think having access to that expert support is absolutely critical, and I think whether you have that internally or externally is probably a function of the relative sizes of your organizations. We're lucky we have that in-house. In Maria's case, a smaller organization, you probably didn't have it in-house.
Yeah, that's it. We didn't have it enough, so you had to go outside. Of course, we have people that are working with it for so many for so long, and they are used to work with it. They have some knowledge from self-learning, but we didn't have an internal department. That's why we went to the specialists outside. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And lastly, in the chat, we had a last question that I think started a bit to be answered. But apart from Javier from ASIO, apart from the training, do you have an internal key user expert in AI that coordinates everything somehow, some kind of digital optimizer or equivalent to unify, to structure and standardize the use of tools? Maybe in just a few words so we can jump on the second session to answer the question.
Well, I can answer it in a very fast way. Everything that we are making in ADRAL is made in customized way. So it goes from case to case. We cannot put it in a global vision because it depends specifically on what we need for a specific department. So yes, it has to be with the specific needs. Yeah.
Whereas for us, we do have that team of people. There's a couple of people across the organisation who are working in our information systems area who do have that expertise, and they are acting, if you like, as that optimizer to use the phrase in the question. I think it's that has been helpful, and I think as you start to get more and more. In our case, agents coming in. So, for example, at the moment, we're looking to do, once we've got this one up and running, we're wanting to then try and link into to build an agent to cover our appraisal activities. And then the two things will get the agents to speak to each other, and that will help increase the efficiency and what comes through for for the appraisals as well. But again, it's one small step at a time. But in each case, we go through our internal experts to get there.
Thank you very much. So now we're gonna go to the second session. I will leave the floor to Annika for the first presentation of the session. If you have any slides that you want to share yourself.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Hello, everyone. And thank you for inviting me into your session. This is a subject that I love to talk about. So I have my watch. I'm trying to keep the time. When I was approached by EURADA, then I thought what would be relevant for you and what would be the information that maybe would come a bit of surprise or a bit interesting and intriguing for you. So AI in Interreg project work is what I would like to talk about. My name is Annika, and so I have 2 PhDs in cross-border cooperation from the economic side and from the public administration side. I started researching why the public services are so hard to provide across the border. And then gradually now I have also been working with an AI. I was one of the lucky ones because my daughter had a boyfriend who was working with ChatGPT in 2022 when the first beta users were asked to try this out. And I have been working with the AI since. The data I will talk today is coming a lot from the LinkedIn roundtable that I organized on the 16th April. We had over 400 registrants. It was live for 90 minutes, and by today it has over 1,800 views. So it is a very relevant discussion, what AI has done to the EU funding, what AI has done with the project writing, managing, and evaluation. So what the data shows is that because of the AI, the increase in applications is around 3,000%, which means 30 times more than in the last programming period. Most of the projects are coming from the applicants who previously either didn't have the capacity or the knowledge to file in the applications. So actually the AI in this case works like a democratization tool, allowing everybody to apply. The only research that has been done on the AI projects is on the Joint Research Center by the European Commission, and it says that around 40% of the Horizon proposals are AI written. And in that research, they also tested, can the evaluators distinguish between the AI written proposals and between the human written proposals? And the answer is no. And the problem is so that because we are evaluating the proposals, the text, the how well the boxes are filled, then AI can do it incredibly well. So for example, in Switzerland currently, with the research funding, they are doing lottery because they are saying that the difference between the top projects are so little that they are putting the names of the projects in a bowl and pulling out the name of the project that will be funded. That shows that our evaluation criteria is wrong. At the same time, research done on the cross-border cooperation projects, Interreg projects across Europe is showing that around 80% of the funded Interreg A projects are not cross-border. They are parallel to the border or one side of the border, but they are missing cross-border element. Meaning again that our evaluation criteria is wrong. We are evaluating based on the measurements, for example, kilometers of road built, but how many kilometers is one border and how many kilometers on the other side of the border, it doesn't matter. Or we are evaluating on how many people participated in the meeting during the Interreg project. But we are not evaluating against how many people from these participants were from one side of the border and how many from the other side of the border. So we are actually not evaluating the things that we are funding. So, and AI is not a problem. AI just shows us that we are evaluating incorrectly. For example, how to manage this problem that we have so many projects coming in. Some of them are AI made, and the joint secretariats are really struggling. Some of them have developed the gotcha logic, meaning that then when they think that it is AI produced, they eliminate this application. Interreg Central Europe introduced the hearings because they understood that a good project doesn't mean it will be a good outcome. And because AI can develop the project, but cannot make it good or the delivery of the project good. So they are coming from the thinking that a project application is a promise that you give, and they are evaluating against how well you can deliver the promise. On my daily work, I'm working also with the joint secretariats on these things, and there are many ways the joint secretariats can use the AI. They can look at the idea and the concept and how the partners are integrated, how the partners are found. Also in the proposal writing, but it's better when the AI is used as a thinking tool, not really the writing tool. Also for the evaluation and support, implementation, capitalization. The biggest thing that came out from the roundtable, and the biggest thing that also I see in my everyday work, is that using AI step by step to challenge your thinking is fundamentally different from polishing a concept note at the end. So how you use the AI in the project work really does matter. What did the practitioners tell us? We had parallel of discussion, live discussion around the table, and we had the comments active. So this is what we found. We found that the AI has exposed the structural failures, mainly the selection criteria. The problem with specifically Interreg is that we are doing the copy and paste with the Interreg. We created Interreg in 1990, and when we evaluate back on how the programs are built and how the programs are evaluated, then we can see that the main thing has stayed the same from the 1990 and we are just dressing it up differently. And now, because of the AI, this is really a time to start thinking differently about what we are actually measuring. Programs need to redesign their process for evaluation, but also for the support, monitoring, and so on. And why this is also a big problem is that AI has decreased the trust. It has decreased the trust between the applicants and the program bodies. And this is because the programs do not understand anymore who owns the project, who owns the outcome. And these are two different things. And how to co-design a real thing. And the capacity gap is also a big problem, because in many cases, when AI is used, the AI is used wrong. So you can ask everything from the AI, but when you don't control and think through what you have written, the outcome can be very harming for your organization. This is a bit a challenge, what I have put here, but this is based on my work and a lot of discussions. I see that there has to be a legal framework for AI use. And not only that it should be used for thinking and not for writing, or both, or so on, but also who owns the data, how the data is managed. Because currently, we are putting a lot of our project data into the AI, and we don't know what happens with that afterwards. So also the redesign from prose-based, meaning that should it be well written or should it be well executed? And there was also a thought of performance-based funding, which is tied to the outcomes and not the milestones given in the projects. The joint secretariats and managing authorities should start controlling against the ownership, that do they understand what they are writing? Are they able to deliver what they are writing? Is there really a partnership, or is there a list of names who is just a list of names? The AI literacy also within the joint secretariats needs really to be targeted, and it needs to be built further. And what I heard today, it's amazing what you are doing, because the average is quite low. I also think that for the applicants, it would be better for the joint secretariats to explain what they are willing from the applicants, maybe even to do some training days to show what is real consortium, what is the real project, what should be the real outcome. So the AI is actually not the problem. The missing methodology is. So AI can do everything you ask, polish the language, but it has been already written and communicated by many program bodies that AI can write it, but when you hit send, you are responsible of what is on the paper. And that has to be also communicated very well to the applicants. Trust is a problem. So AI accelerates the delivery, how quickly everything will work now. But we need to now start working how to get the quality better on how the cooperation really looks like, the connection between the different bodies across the borders, how the ownership will be developed. Not that we are building two two houses, one on the one side of the border and one on the other side, say that they are community centers, and this is a cross-border project. And then the practical implications for the agencies. You already talked that you are using AI a lot, and that's really good, because AI can really help to decrease the administrative load that all of your agencies have. And as a nerd, I did a calculation once how much actually the regional development agencies need to read the documents and write the emails and do the plain communication. And that came up to 60 hours per week. And that's only the reading the documents and writing the emails. And this is not doable. So AI really can help. Why I'm talking about this now? I'm talking about this now because currently this is the window where we can talk about this. The next programming period is designed. We really need to start thinking what we want, because when we continue like this and design next programming period more or less the same, then things start to happen that we will not be very happy about, because AI accelerates everything we put into it. So we put into it the real cooperation works, we will get so much better cooperation work out. When we put into it stupidity, it really makes it grow. So now is the time to speak up. And as EURADA, as a big organization, a lot of political power, thinking together what you want and how you see the next programming period is really important. So that is very quickly what is happening, what I see, and looking forward for your questions.
Thank you very, very much, Annika. And as I said in the chat, please note down your questions for Annika, because we will have the Q&A right after the second presentation of this session. I invite now Christian Soblin to do his presentation. We will share the screen in a minute, and we leave you the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Camilla. And I see that I have no picture of myself because I don't know what happens with my camera. So it was good that you will share your screen with the presentation.
Yes.
So I will short it due to the time, but I want to insist here on the title. We try to do a readiness check for place-based entrepreneurial and innovation strategy as a model, and we apply it with South Moravia. When I say readiness check, it means that we don't want that I is drafting anything. It's more about helping to collect the data, to assess the quality of the data, and also to prepare the decision by the human knowledge behind it. So it's a little bit diligence, intelligence, and constraint analysis with the support of artificial intelligence. Yeah, next slide, please. The next as well, you will see the content going on. So where we start with was that we found there was very few publication on the domain of AI for evidence-based policy. We did a lot of article, report, and position paper. When I say we, it's me, Mathieu Doucineau, Charles de Monchy, Raluca Sibiu, and also Ilmas Osman, who is a specialist in AI. And also we looked to a lot of papers produced by consultants and big ones about why strategy are failing, even or even because they have early failure signs. And recently, there was a GRC paper published about future balance with AI tools, and they had more or less the same idea that we have. You start with the analyzed and you go till post-diagnostic template or report. Yeah, next slide, please. So you know all the pain points in drafting a strategy or going for the next generation of investment. There are silo support services, there are strategy implementation gap, some problem with the governance, regional capacities, and finally, there is a growing demand for implementation expertise because you can build nice strategy on the paper, but it starts with the problem of the implementation, resources, mean, capacity, and so on. Yeah, next slide, please. So what we try to achieve with this AI-based approach is to look to the strategy program and the ecosystems, asset capacities, and so on, and to see whether it matches between the elements and whether there is a coherence and the complementarity with the existing ongoing approach. And this is where the interaction with human capacity is also important. Next slide. So this is really the core of our approach. We have taken 6 steps or phases, and we started with the ecosystem characteristic. We use the well-known Eisenberg ecosystem framework. We adapt it to regional ecosystem with 25 pillars. And this is the base because all we did afterwards, we ask through prompt the different AI tools to look and to compare what exists in the region, what is missing with this 25 pillar. And then you can even zoom because we have a larger system description on it. So the first thing we ask is to look to the past health check, then to go to the ecosystem characteristic, what's really there. You can use the logical pathway, ecosystem Canva, scouting and transradar. And then we look to what could be the expected impact, but looking to what are the root causes analysis which are possible to be overcome if when you draft or you look to the past. Then you made the strategy adjustment through strategic diamond. And finally, you do a health check and you start to draft the implementation final. All the tools that you see on the screen were private oriented management tool, and we ask different AI tool to adapt those tools to keep the metrics of those tools for the private sector and to adapt it for regional public support based on the characteristic of the ecosystem. So you will hear in a minute about Adam's experience. He was the only one after we published something on LinkedIn to say, hello guys, we are trying to do things. If you are interested, just call us and we will develop that for you. And Adam received more or less 150 pages with the 8 tools that we have tested with the data of his region. We must say that we have used different AI tools, but in their not paid version until now, and the data were collected by the AI tool. We didn't have some material received from the region we have worked with. We have worked also with Northern Netherlands, Hauts-de-France, the West region in Romania. So next slide, please. So this is the base of the ecosystem that we have used. So as I mentioned, we took the Eisenberg model. So the governance, the enablers, the core features, activities, and evaluation and adaptation. In the middle of activities, we focus on commercialization of research results and diffusion and absorption of innovation solution, because we know by the literature that sometimes this is really what is the bottleneck in entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem. So next slide, please. So we looked also, and we to look to the links, the interaction between the element of an ecosystem, because we also told the AE tools that we want to see the ecosystem working as a supply chain, and therefore you know that it is always the weakest link who will break the full system. So here, and this is a case where we ask to look when you try to reinforce the interaction of the system to have the commercialization of research results, and afterwards the diffusion. So this is what Adam received somewhere in the paper. And you see where are the two main bottlenecks into the system. You have a good research output, but the limited commercialization scale, and of course a weak diffusion to traditional SME, because too often the strategy remain focused on tech sectors, which is not necessarily in adequation with the eco-fabrics that most regions have in Europe. Next one. So what I said, we showed that it can improve the collection of evidence place-based information to enhance the decision-making process with, as I mentioned, it's not drafting by AI, it's helping the human knowledge to go. And when you see my ecosystem pillar 25 to look at, I think no human capacity in RDA can process all the 25 as the tools are able to do. So it creates new capacities for analysis, and of course that comes to the human capabilities to interpret the data which come out from the machine. It will provide intelligence regarding the consistency of decision with real assets, resources, and expectation of target groups. And of course, you have to validate the priority choice by tracking what will work. Next slide, please. And I give the floor to Adam because he was friendly enough to look on what we did and to comment in detail what he found.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian. So just overall, we felt that the results were good, and I think the sort of the best thing was that it was a peer review, and it sort of showed and validated that some of our decisions or our priorities are kind of going in the right direction. A lot of the analysis were actually very good and kind of spot on, and this basically led to a good identification of the areas that we should focus on. And so some of it was mentioned that, we have, for example, good research, but the commercialization is lagging. Or one of the most important things that we are now thinking about, that we're actually pretty good at producing startups, but, transforming them into very globally successful companies is a lot harder. And so, for example, now there needs to be more focus on late stage VC. And I felt like these things that we talk about very often here in South Moravia were identified, which is the good thing. Some areas to improve. I mean, as Christian mentioned, obviously this is like the first version that's done by AI, and then there should be validation. But sometimes there were kind of like factual errors. Very often from estimates. Sometimes I felt, and I will return to this on the next slide, sort of an overly positive spin. And yeah, if I'll continue from this, because when I thought about the data that's sort of coming in, that very often the things that are publicly available, often it's more marketing based or kind of like PR, that like very often organizations sort of don't share their problems that much. And I think it even comes from another interesting thing that I saw in the report, that it actually cited quite heavily our sort of regional data report that we release basically every year. And so it was interesting seeing, the numbers that I kind of like put out, that it like feeds them back to me. It does raise this question of like to what degree the things that are available and public can sort of skew some of the results. I was thinking a bit about this with the semiconductors, because the material from Christian identified this as like, okay, this is a strong area and something you should really focus on. And I wonder to what degree this was also caused by the fact that semiconductors are sort of in a regional innovation agency, one of the main areas that we like to sort of like propagate and put out articles about it. And it's also a good sort of like look on whether sometimes perhaps we do put an overly positive spin and the situation is not as good as we want to, but we sort of look at it from a perspective of, hey, these are the things where we see potential. There were some cases where it also like caught some like heavily medialized things. For example, I think like sixth time there was mentioned that there was like a tornado in South Moravia, which was in the news quite a lot, but it wasn't really a relevant thing. But this is something that obviously like once you check it and you fix it, it doesn't really become a problem. And I think for this, like even the sort of like analytical problems that I saw, that like sometimes okay, but a bit vague or a bit positive spin, like there's this question of to what degree does it matter if the end results were good? And we felt that, the recommendations that we received were sort of in line with how we see the region. And that, like, in the end, yeah, it's sort of made a very correct identification. So yeah, I think these are basically the main points. And once again, thank you, Christian, for sharing it with us. It was really interesting to see how it worked.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I have still one last slide with what we receive from Northern Netherlands. And I think they share what you said, Adam, with an excellent exercise of peer review. Of course, it's not perfect, but nevertheless, they found the recommendation in the post-diagnostic template. And they had even a smaller version than you, Adam, because in between our friend Yilmaz has developed his own system, AE system, to check those templates. What is true, and we have to remember, I said we asked the AE tool to find by themselves the information about the regions. So we had also a BA sent by Hauts-de-France, where they found that the tools were too much focusing on the booming car battery factories who will be opening soon in the region, and a little bit too much on the sea economy instead of having a wider perception of it. So with Matthew, when we discussed, we are coming to the idea that we have to provide to the tools a kind of portfolio of information who are checked and maybe also better limited than to look in the world. So thank you for your attention. I hope you have questions, but I have at least two questions to you. First, who has experience to use this AI intelligence for thinking about their next S3 or the next investment criteria. And what do you think it can be further developed, knowing that the 40 people that I mentioned have no contract, they do that in their spare time. As retired, I have a lot of spare time, of course, but the other have to work to buy their breads at the end of the month. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Christian and Adam, for this presentation. We will try to take maybe a few additional minutes from the working group meeting, but we will try to keep it very short. I will let the floor to my colleague Anne, that is a policy and project intern, to moderate the Q&A. So Anne, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Camille. So thank you, Annika, Adam, and Christian for your presentations. Now we will go directly to the questions. So you have the floor open in any case you have any question.
May I ask a question from the other presenters? Because the framework, I'm academic nerd, so my question comes from there. And I looked at your framework of the 6 steps, and I really like what you are doing. So my question is that I see the AI integrated in throughout the system, and I wanted to ask that where is the human judgment coming in, and is it necessary, and what extent it is necessary in following your system? Thank you.
Adam first.
I think this is more a question of for you, Christian, in the sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, we have built the system to provide, as I mentioned, a post-diagnostic template. So Luc mentioned the system flag a few options to have it. So it doesn't necessarily tell you you should do that. It says, well, if you want to have a better ecosystem linkage or whatever, you should do this or that. Also, we have provided a fishbone diagram to point out where are the weakness point into the system. So the system point where to go, but not necessarily what to do yourself on it. And especially that, as I mentioned, we have not introduced into the system the data about the region. So you know how many projects, you know how many budget you have, etc. So that's where the human intelligence or knowledge should complement the system. And we, on the paper that we wrote to introduce, we really sell this is an hybrid system with human capacity, and it's raised or he answered to the question of the previous speaker about Interreg, where you cannot see whether it's fully machine written or human. We want the human to be at the center, and also for evidence based of integrity and all the debate about it. No, I want also, because I forgot to say, up to now, we have used the different tools, Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc. But from now on, we will use Mistral, because everybody is speaking about European sovereignty. So in the future, we will use a European AI tool.
Thank you.
Christian, I may add, yes, I
just
arrived late. Thank you. No, just to add, to reply to Annika's question, that's a question, it's very experimental. The thing is like, we are trying to come, and especially Christian, especially in this, like to come with like a analytical framework taken from the business side, and we use AI capacity to process the data. And the question is, human, where is human here? At the input phase, because very frequently, and we all use like AI for our usual work, to set the boundaries and not ask any LLM tool to dig everywhere, because it may create like a unbalanced result. And that's important to say. And also like human to check the outputs, because we never know. So we have like the overall like a structure of our process, but we still need to validate many steps. And again, what we put as input, like strategies, ecosystem information, and asking AI to match both and to see we have like, and the word of coherence is really important. That's only AI can do that in a kind of like a automatic and maybe more transparent way as human, because we are all biased. We all have biases. So yeah, it was my contribution to Christian response.
Yeah, if I may add, also what we receive as comment, especially from Luc and also from Jean-Christophe in Hauts-de-France, when you have that, how you will sell that to the policymakers who are sometimes not decided on facts, but about political will or wishes on it. In the debate about the renationalization of cohesion policy, I may imagine that having a tough final proposal where all the bottlenecks or the early failure signs are avoided, that you may have a better chance to convince the national authority to go for your project than just if it is made about dream. Hopefully.
Thank you, Christian and Mathieu, for your answers. But we have to go directly to Jean-Jacques, that he raised his hands and he might have questions. The speakers, if you can keep short your answers, because
I will be short. I'll be very short. No, thank you, Annika, for your presentation. Very, very interesting. Because I'm working in the innovation agency and I worked for 10 years as consultant. And this is a real problem because in fact, the quality of the proposal is higher and higher. And now it's very difficult to distinguish between proposal wrote by artificial intelligence and handwriting. And this is especially the case for the part dedicated to the impact or focused on the impact. And more we have quasi the same parts with the same data. I think that the difference for me is very simple. First, it's the quality of the data, and then the interpretation of the data, because you know that we have many hallucinations with artificial intelligence, and sometimes you can distinguish that you have very strange data, and it means that it's probably generated by artificial intelligence. That's the first question, and I fully agree with you that at the end that we need, and the European Commission need to work to define new criteria, and clearly, because it's exactly what you mentioned. It's like to play to Lotto, okay? Because we have many proposals with 15 out to 15, and it's very difficult to distinguish between good one and very, very good ones. Okay, except that we have a problem, and the problem is for the companies or the universities. That's we help for the setting of proposals. That's a very big problem. And the second one is the difference because the written proposals and execution of the project. Okay, and you mentioned perfectly that you are responsible. What is written in the proposal? And I remember some years ago, I worked with a German partner, and the specialty of the German partners was to write blue sky proposals. And then there is a big difference between what is written and the final project. And finally, the European Commission was very angry because at the end, the outputs, the KPI were very low compared to what was explained in the proposal. Okay, so I think it's very very important subject, excuse me, because it has an impact in our own project. And I think for Interregs, that it's totally different, because in Interreg project, and especially in Interreg A, the competition is lower. You have fewer proposals. And then I think that we can use the artificial intelligence exactly in the sense that you mentioned, is to have common data and then to have common visions, and to avoid what you mentioned, which is side-by-side projects. So that's very interesting. And the question is for the second presentation. The question is, okay, then you mentioned the Heisenberg model, okay? But I have a case in mind, or use case in mind. You know that we need all to define in the next month or years the S3, S4. What could be the interest to use such a kind of model to save time, energy, and money to prepare the S3, S4? Thank you.
Thank you, Jack, for your questions. Annika, I let you the floor. Go ahead.
This is a really hard question, to be honest. This is, yeah. Honestly, right now, when I will answer you, I will talk out of my neck, like the Dutch would say. So I don't know how we should plan and how we should build up the new system to be in accordance of everything that happens. This is currently also what I'm busy with, yeah, I'm very sorry. I have to say, I don't know the right answer that I would be very comfortable to give to you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Annika. Christian, if you want to answer to Jean-Jacques.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of time savings and a more granularity issue that you can solve than to do it with just human capacity. My ecosystem is divided, as I mentioned, in 25 pillars. I cluster the features around 140 clusters, 646 different ingredients that an ecosystem can have or should have. So nobody will be able to check and see where is the missing or where to reinforce links that you haven't in your ecosystem at the time being. So that's the time savings. And both Adam and Luc mentioned, you have access nearly to a free peer review exercise.
Yeah,
I hope that was the answer.
For me, yes, no, because the question was also S3, S4. Yes, behind that we are like thinking a lot about S3 and S4, and to comment like what Christian said before, it's a question of empowerment. Because if your instinct is confirmed by what data is telling you, it's always better to make a decision. And it's a comment also to Christian. It's like we need to be simple. Even if the reality is not, of course, simple, we need to provide region with like a simple analytical framework. And I'm afraid, and it's a comment, it's like autocritic, 25 pillars, it's difficult to approach for regional policymakers because maybe we will need to think about how to simplify and to make it more adaptable, usable for normal policymakers, I would say, and not specialists in all these tools and systems.
Yeah, but you go in a cascade way. You use a sixth pillar, and then when you have a problem in one pillar, you go, or in one domain, you go to the pillars and then to the futures. That's how it should be working and help, because otherwise, indeed, it's too confused as results.
So you understand the role, like the complexity comes from Christian's side, and I'm trying to simplify and to make it like more understandable for people. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much for all the questions and the answers. I will not bother you anymore with, of course, some very long closing remarks. I will just thank all the speakers and all the participants for today. I think it was a very interesting working group meeting, and we gained a lot to think about. And it was very interactive, so I am very happy to see that you found some interest in the presentations. Let's hope that we will have a new working group meeting soon. We will meet each other and discuss the working group future very soon during the General Assembly. I really hope the discussion was inspiring and will lead to collaboration and new ideas. So thank you very much for today, and have a good lunch break now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.